My art history final presentation is going to be about the evolution of beauty in the art world, focusing on the European Renaissance versus the Italian Renaissance. The European Renaissance was described as a new change for Europe after the Middle Ages. The time period for the European Renaissance was the year 1300 to the year 1600. Pictured on this slide is Jan van Eyck's Man in a Red Turban, which was painted in 1433. Fun fact number 1, presented by Abby the dog. Man in a Red Turban looks quite large, but in reality, it is only about 13 inches by 10 inches. Some of the most well-known artists from the European Renaissance would be Desiderius Erasmus, René Descartes, and Thomas Hobbes, pictured on this slide. Desiderius Erasmus is remembered as the leader of the humanist movement, being the first editor of the New Testament, and for being an expressionist in the Protestant Reformation. The second artist, René Descartes, who was regarded as the father of philosophy. He is also highly accredited for his advances in mathematics and for his many published works, one of which, The Principles of Philosophy, thoroughly explains his thoughts on philosophy. Lastly, Thomas Hobbes was a famous English philosopher. He is also remembered for his work Leviathan, in which Hobbes argues that the only correct form of government is a monarchy. Fun fact number 2, this time presented by Chip. A famous phrase of René Descartes is, "I think, therefore I am." Moving on to the definition of beauty at this time, we are going to cover what the common elements of art were in the European Renaissance. One of the main themes of the Renaissance was to depict people and scenes as they naturally are in life. Artists wanted to make the viewer feel like he or she was seeing something that was happening firsthand. A popular painting in the Renaissance was done with oil paints, as it was a very popular medium at the time. Pictured here is a painting called Arnolfini Wedding Portrait, painted by Jan van Eyck in 1434. Now we will focus on the not-so-popular works of art during the European Renaissance. We all know about the Mona Lisa, the Last Supper, and the Statue of David. They are all very popular and widely labeled as the most well-known art of the Renaissance. Most people can identify them without ever studying art. On this slide is a painting done by Michelangelo called The Torment of St. Anthony. This painting is not as popular as other works by Michelangelo, as it pictures religion as a darker image, in contrast to the innocent Madonnas and cherubs previously painted. The Torment of St. Anthony is also not as widely known because it was painted when Michelangelo was very young. Fun fact number 3. Michelangelo created the Statue of David from a piece of marble that was originally intended for a different artist. This artist had given up on the work that he was trying to make. Now that we have summarized the art of the European Renaissance, it is time to focus on the Italian Renaissance. The Italian Renaissance began around the year 1400 or shortly thereafter. The Italian Renaissance was so profound, partially because it was supported by the Medici family, who were very wealthy and were very important at the time. They are pictured here. Some of the most well-known artists of the Italian Renaissance were Leonardo da Vinci, Galileo, and Titian. Leonardo da Vinci was most well known for being a painter, architect, and investor, inventor, having invented both the helicopter and the parachute. Next is Galileo. He is remembered for his astronomy, engineering, and for being a physicist. He is also credited with developing the scientific method. Lastly is Titian, who is remembered for his religious paintings. Pictured here is Titian's Assumption of the Virgin, which is an altarpiece painted with oil paints. Fun fact number 4. Leonardo da Vinci never received any formal education. He was also ambidextrous, which means he could write and draw with both hands. One of the most common elements of the Italian Renaissance was religion. A main focus for both art and architecture was religion and secular images. Grand architecture featured domes and statues and carvings. The scenes depicted were mainly religion-based, as that was the main importance to artists. Pictured on this slide is Michelangelo's The Creation of Man, which can be found on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. The most important pieces of art in the Italian Renaissance were Michelangelo's The Last Judgment, Leonardo da Vinci's The Last Supper, and Michelangelo's The Creation of Adam. These pieces are recognized by many people, and most can identify them without knowing much else about the Renaissance. Pictured on this slide is Michelangelo's Donatello, which is also referred to as the Holy Family. This piece is the only piece painted by an adult Michelangelo that was finished before his death. So, in conclusion, the European Renaissance and the Italian Renaissance were both very important in history for different reasons. They are similar in many ways, and yet they are respectfully different, as we have explained. Fun fact number 5. In some Renaissance pieces, a member of the Medici family can be spotted in the background, pictured as a man holding money. Here are all of the sources that were used for this project. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed it.